This video is dedicated to Antonio Rouse. Antonio, thank you. Liesa Shroud of Dusk versus Aminatou the Fateshifter. Partner commanders Tevesh Szat, Doom of Fools, along with Ravos Soul Tender, and Jenara, Asure of War. Alright, that's a lot better. We get to see if Keeper of the Accord is any good as well, although we've only got one green player at the table, so it's not necessarily the case that these two players will ramp ahead of us on the land front. We're going to keep that anyway. Oh, that's a risky one. Starting off with Bazaar of Baghdad. So taking a turn off effectively. They discarded a land, Unburial Rites, and a Grave Titan, so maybe they've got some fast mana for the Unburial Rites. Maybe that's the plan there. We get into Night's Whisper, so let's just throw out a tap land and we'll pass the turn. We're unfortunately seeing a turn 1 Sol Ring from Billy Kills, up against 3 patrons today by the way. Polar Bear Soup on Jenara, Billy Kills on the partners. Need to build Tevesh myself. That's one that I've very much been looking forward to. Ravos, a very good partner with that. I'd probably make some kind of aristocrat build, typical of Orzhov. And then Go-Go is on Aminatou, playing a shot land of his own there. We get into Sun Titans, so let's... Do we want to draw here? I think we have to. I think we just have to discard something at the end of the turn, unfortunately. Yep, there is a Rise of the Dark Realms. Do we want to keep that in the hope that we eventually get to use it? We could always just ditch the Oubliette and grab it with Sun Titan at some point, hopefully. We can only enchant a creature with that, can't we? Yeah, we'll get rid of that. And there is some land ramp from 3 visits. So it might be that the BAMP player does accelerate ahead of us on lands, which means we should be able to keep up with Keeper of the Accord. And then the ramp continues over there with a Noble Hierarch. And it looks like Kills has gone for the aristocrat type strategy as well. Seems like an obvious one to go for with a token producer. So we've had the same idea there. Bazaar of Baghdad continuing to be used over there. We've got Orzhov Signet, some lands, a talisman. So they're getting rid of a lot of ramp there. And there's the plan. Animate Dead goes on to the Agent of Treachery. And they'll be able to flicker this and steal something else with the Aminatou next turn if they can get into blue mana. Stealing the Sol Ring this time anyway. We get ourselves into another land. Let's just... Yeah, I think we're just dropping a swamp and tapping out here. Anyway, what else have they got here? They had the Path to Exile. That's been discarded. Evacuation has gone as well. We looked at the talisman. Yeah, so like I said, getting rid of some cheap ramp there, but I mean, if we're going to steal other people's cheap ramp, then I don't suppose it matters. And that's pretty scary. A doubling season coming from Jenara. It might be worth the Aminatou player stealing that. One, to take it off of Jenara, but also to dump more counters on the Aminatou. Anyway, Evolving Wilds from Billy Kills has been slowed right down. Sure, he would have liked to get his Planeswalker into play at this point. There it is, the Aminatou. Flickering the Agent of Treachery, like we said, so the Animate Dead falls off. But they can steal something else here. And they do go after that doubling season. Another land for us. Maybe we just go... we're probably going to get our Mangara dealt with, aren't we? Because they can flicker this thing a few more times yet. Nah, I think we'll just drop the Keeper of the Accord. If our opponent steals it, then so be it. It's not going to do anything during this turn cycle, unfortunately. But it's a decent blocker. Don't fancy giving our opponent a Mangara. Baral's Expertise coming in now from Polar Bear. Return up to 3 target artifacts and or creatures to their owner's hands. They went after the Saw Ring, the Agent of Treachery, and the Cruel Celebrant, so that's really good that Agent of Treachery has been dealt with. We will say yes to Keeper of the Accord. And we'll grab ourselves... I think it's any planes we can go for here. Oh no, it's just a basic planes. Thought this was during the upkeep, but it's actually during the end step, so... yeah, we are actually going to make use of it, apparently. Saw Ring coming straight back down, and we'll probably see their commander here. And there he is. Going straight for the +2 to make some Thrall tokens. I'm actually wondering if we bother to attack the Aminatou or not. We really don't want that to come down with Doubling Season, because it will be able to go -6 immediately and mess up everyone's board states. Anyway, at the beginning of the turn, continuing with Bazaar of Baghdad. There's an Ashen Rider in there. The Agent of Treachery has now been discarded, so they must have some more reanimation stuff. They minus down on one of their lands there so that they could go for the Unburial Rights that they discarded previously. So, making great use of the Agent of Treachery and the Bazaar of Baghdad. And Tevesh Szat with a Doubling Season. Getting the Doubling Season over here and the Planeswalker over here, which is interesting. Kind of turning it into a Super Friends game. It is -10 on this. And we did get some soldier tokens during all that. Maybe we'll be able to make use of Rise of the Dark Realms after a board wipe, thanks to all the discard here. I think we just have to play Soul's Attendant, and we'll play... I don't want to play Mangara if it's just going to get stolen. We'll get out the Bloodstained Maya anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. I really don't like just taking a turn off, but I don't know what else we can do here, to be honest. We'll try and swing in at Tevesh Szat. I imagine they just block with a Thrall, and they do. Yeah, we'll just hold up Teferi's Protection here, because I have a feeling they might minus the Aminatou to steal stuff with the Agent of Treachery again, and then replay this, and they've got the minus then. I don't think Phase Out protects us from their -6 is the problem, but I certainly don't want to take it out of play and help them along with that plan. It's a complicated game already on turn 5. Now Jenara, Asure of War coming in. That's a flyer at least, so should be able to get through to some Planeswalkers, assuming it doesn't get stolen. And there's another flyer in Ravos Soul Tender. Maybe we should have gotten down our commander as well, because it would have been 3 flyers in play. Yep, going for the minus on the Aminatou, as I assumed he would. I don't imagine he targets any of our stuff, and even if he does, I don't think we go for Teferi's Protection here. Yeah, targeting the bank commander. So there's nothing we can do about that. Just have to hope that he doesn't get into another land and tap out into Aminatou. Okay, Wall of Stolen Identity. That can come down as a copy of something. And it comes down as the Agent of Treachery, as you would assume. And now they are going after our Keeper of the Accord. Yeah. I don't think we're making much more use out of that anyway. I think we just have to allow that. It is going to help ramp them, unfortunately. They get some more Thrall tokens. And it is 4 Thrall tokens that come out thanks to the Doubling Season. Maybe we have to go for Sun Titan onto Oubliette and get rid of the Agent of Treachery, seeing as how they're making so much use of it, although Anguished Unmaking might have to just go on the Planeswalker though. Gain control of all commanders, put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. There's flyers that can get in the way of that though, or a flyer here. So we encourage Ravos to go over there like that, so we can hold on to the Anguished Unmaking here, I think. Let's go for Sun Titan instead. And we'll grab back the Oubliette. And that can come out and get rid of the Agent of Treachery. They're certainly in colours that can get rid of Oubliette, but they obviously need to have these things in hand. Keeper of the Accord, now on our opponent's side of the field, continuing to trigger. Stolen Identity, create a token copy of an artifact or creature. So they are going for the Agent of Treachery. Oh, and that's really bad actually, because they can steal this and minus down on it straight away. That's what I'd do anyway. Ugh. So the whole Ravos swinging in at it thing doesn't work there. And yeah, they are targeting the Planeswalker. So we're going to see a minus on Tevesh by the looks of it. And yeah, going for that straight away. So a bunch of commanders are going to come into play here. Fortunately, they don't have the doubling season over there anymore. But there we go, getting our commander, of course. Along with all the other ones. Ravos there. They get their Jenara back. The Aminatou, Tevesh Szat comes straight back into play. And it's only turn 6. And then the Noble Hierarch swings in towards Billy Kills, who will have to block here because if he doesn't, there'll be a copy of Stolen Identity to worry about. So blocking with a Thrall token. And then sacrificing another creature. If you do, draw 2 cards, and then another if one of the sacrifice permanents was a commander. I think it was just a token that was sacrificed there, I'm not sure. And then drawing some cards with the Agent of Treachery, which obviously goes very well with the minus on Tevesh Szat. Getting a bunch of stuff from your opponents allows you to draw cards with the Agent. Cruel Celebrant coming back into play. That was bounced to their hand previously. They're going to start getting drained by our Liesa. Well, we're all going to start getting drained by that. Bazaar of Baghdad being activated yet again. And do they have anything in the graveyard? There's Rite of Replication, Body Double, some lands, Tutor, there's Pongify, and we know about Frost Titan, Ashen Rider. Anyway, Evil Twin coming into play now. And yet again, it is Agent of Treachery. So all the hard work in this entire game has been done by Agent of Treacheries, really. The Aminatou coming back down. And this time flickering the Evil Twin version of Agent of Treachery. And they've got the Wall of Stolen Identity version over here. And they are stealing our Liesa. Now activating the Baghdad yet again. Which puts Saheeli's Artistry in the bin. And Generous Gift, so obviously it's just a bunch of clone effects here. Reanimation and clone. Cracking a Fabled Passage now. And yet another clone in Phantasmal Image. And it's Agent of Treachery yet again, as you would imagine. We just really need to see a board wipe at this point, and it should help stop all this Agent of Treachery shenanigans, this time stealing the Ravos Soul Tender. And all the Thralls turning sideways in towards the Black Commander. And one of each of those being blocked, as you would expect, so 5 goes through. And that is enough to take down the Planeswalker. An Agent of Treachery drawing a bunch of cards. That was 3 cards per Agent of Treachery they have, so going up to 12. They'll have to discard some more stuff here. Well, there's another land for us. Takes us a step closer to Rise of the Dark Realms. I'd like to see a board wipe before then, though. So let's just gamble on a Mangara at this point. We'll lose 2 life to our own commander, but we've gained plenty of life with Soul's Attendant. And then we'll hold up the instant speed interaction that we've got in the hopes that we see a board wipe to set us up for Rise of the Dark Realms next turn. Might as well swing in at the Tevesh. And they let the Tevesh Szat go down, so once again it goes back to Billy Kills, who unfortunately hasn't been able to make much use of it. Keeper of the Accord triggering yet again. I like to keep track of the Keeper of the Accord. It's a new card and wasn't sure how much good it was going to do, but apparently if it sticks around for long enough, you get a lot of value out of it. Farseek into Liesa. Now the Noble Hierarch going back in at Billy Kills. And let's see if he allows that to hit him. Yeah, seems to be allowing that to hit him so that there can be a Stolen Identity coming back down again. That's the second spell being cast, so we will draw with Mangara. And it's another land for us, no board wipe. I think we've got 4 in the deck. They make a copy of the Agent of Treachery, as you would expect. And stealing back their doubling season. Tevesh Szat into play again from Billy Kills. That is 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, so only the second time playing it, even though it's bounced all over the table. And then sacrificing another creature, which is the Thrall, triggers the Cruel Celebrant, and they'll draw a couple of cards there. Now it's Animation Module, that gives us another card with Mangara, and we get into one of our combo pieces, which is Sanguine Bond. Ravos is still on this side of the field, so he will be able to grab another creature from the graveyard. He'll have to hardcast it, going for the body double, which can become a copy of any creature in, I think it's your graveyard. Oh, it's in any graveyard. So there goes the body double. Coming down as a copy of Ashen Rider. Not sure what they're aiming for there. Going after the animation module, that is a combo piece that can come out of nowhere, so probably a clever idea to get rid of that. And now it is Dance of the Dead. That gets us into Vampiric Tutor, so we can go for a board wipe with that. And yeah, exiling the Doubling Season, that's good. Just sitting back at the moment and allowing our opponents to deal with each other's stuff. Now a Cackling Counterpart, which makes a copy of a token creature, which is Agent of Treachery in this case. So the 100th Agent of Treachery coming into play, and they do have flashback on that. Oh, they'll actually get 2 counters here, won't they? Or 2 token copies, thanks to having their Doubling Season. So what are they stealing here? They're getting the Ashen Rider that's been reanimated by Dance of the Dead. And then the other one goes at the Aminatou, so it looks like Go-Go and Polar Bear are just trading permanents back and forth. Anyway, the Doubling Season goes down after all that. And before it goes down, putting a couple of plus counters on their commander. So they tap out, which is good. They did have blue mana held up there. So that makes it look good for getting a board wipe through. Now I think we can do some setting up next turn. If we go for Vamp Tutor into Toxic Deluge, that's 3. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 can take us into the Sanguine Bond after the board wipe. And then hopefully we can land a Rise of the Dark Realms, reanimate everything, including the Soul's Attendant and things like the Cruel Celebrant. It is Liesa dealing with a Planeswalker, that's good because our board wipes won't do that. The Ravos deals with Aminatou. But there is a flyer here, so obviously forgetting about that. So Aminatou will not go down, it will actually take the Ravos down. Tevesh Szat going down will trigger the Cruel Celebrant. Let's go Vampiric Tutor. Another play we could go for is just try and exile everything. That's probably the more intelligent thing to do, but I think our only means of coming anywhere close to winning this is with Rise of the Dark Realms. So I think it has to be a Toxic Deluge, just in case there's the free Indestructible card here. Let's go Toxic Deluge. Let's drop the Command Tower. So we'll go in at kills with both of those, just for the sake of getting some good value. We'll grab a black fetch because we don't have many planes in this deck. Alright, but he mustn't have seen my message in the chat, so he's just decided to take it here. Not to worry, let's go for the Deluge. And then what's the highest toughness? Don't want anything left in play after this. Let's go for the 6 and just wipe the board entirely. Lose 2 life to our commander. And there we are, Cruel Celebrant is going to trigger. Now the problem is here, there's going to be another Agent of Treachery potentially, because the Ashen Rider that died over here probably gets rid of Oubliette, so we might have to just use the Anguished Unmaking to finally get rid of this thing, so that all of that doesn't start all over again. We'll see what happens with the targets here. Yep, so there we are. Ashen Rider getting rid of the Oubliette. That doesn't enter play again, it just phases in, so it's not going to get an ETB. Ashen Rider exiling the Bazaar of Baghdad, a very good idea. So we can hold up 3 mana and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 for a Sanguine Bond, and hopefully go for the Rise of the Dark Realms. Sanguine Bond is going to make people look in our direction, unfortunately. But there's no better time to do it than this. We'll get ourselves a swamp and probably go for Anguished Unmaking onto the Agent of Treachery before their turn starts up again. But we'll see if anyone else wants to deal with it first. Via Pashiri now. Aminatou going to minus down and flicker a forest. And unfortunately, holding up a lot of mana over there, including blue mana, so I don't really like the idea of casting Rise of the Dark Realms into that, unfortunately. Aetherflux Reservoir decided to leave. Animate dead for more reanimation stuff. And if that doesn't get countered, I'm going to assume that there's no counter magic over here, so yeah. I would think that that would get countered if there was any counter magic. And there's Ashen Rider. And yeah, I'm actually fine with that going down. It's that's good bait. We do have the combo in this deck, but I'm certainly not going to attempt to get it off. Spark double for another Ashen Rider. And should probably go for Aetherflux Reservoir here, and they do. And just deciding to tap out at that. It looks like there might be a big X spell here. I'm assuming that they don't have a counter spell, like I said. I think we just have to attempt this Rise of the Dark Realms. And priority is being held over here, so let's see if it gets counted. Oh, it gets through, that's good. So what do we want to make a copy of here with the Phantasmal Image? Copy of any creature on the battlefield. So in that case, I think it has to be the Ashen Rider. And then Evil Twin can be an Ashen Rider as well. And then the Wall of Stolen Identity can be an Ashen Rider as well. We gain a bunch of life. Let's have a look through these ETBs. We've got Ashen Rider, Dream Eater is Surveil 4. So we have to target with Sun Titan, don't we, is the problem. We can't put something in the bin with Dream Eater and target it with Sun Rider or Sun Titan. So let's just grab another land with the Bloodstained Maya and Sun Titan. 3 Titans in play, which is noteworthy. Grave Titan gets us into some zombies. Let's just keep that thing tapped so that it can't make a token. And then Ashen Rider can get rid of Ashen Rider, the body double version, and then we want rid of the spark double version as well. Let's get rid of the Midnight Ranger. Is that what it's called? Midnight Reaper, even. And then one more. I think we just get rid of the Sol Ring here. I don't like Aminatou being in play, but I'd rather it was kept in play potentially and not played by Gogo, who takes some kind of advantage out of it. So let's go for the Sol Ring there. No haste during all of this, unfortunately. Now Dream Eater will allow us to Surveil 4. And there is a Necropotence for our Sun Titan to grab. So let's put that in the graveyard. We'll put Painful Quandary on top. Haunt of Hightower can go on top. And Necropotence can go in the graveyard. And then we can return something with Dream Eater. This is going to get tapped down anyway, and it's only going to cost 1 mana, so let's try and eat up some more mana over here and get rid of the Talisman of Hierarchy for a turn. And we do have Cabal Coffers in this list, so let's grab some swamps, or a swamp. Grave Titan gives us a couple of zombies, which gains us some more life. We go up to 55. And then Sun Titan gets us another land. Ramped nicely with the Sun Titan this game. We'll shuffle the cards away that are on top. I'm not particularly bothered about getting into Painful Quandary and Knight of the Haunt, even, of High Tower. So we'll shuffle those away and try and draw into something else. Going for the plus on Aminatou so it doesn't go back into the command zone, that's good. Fractured Identity from the BAMP player. Exile a target non-land permanent each player controls. Each player other than its controller creates a token that is a copy of it. There goes more shenanigans with Ashen Rider. I think it's time for us to phase out, or attempt to at least. And there we go, that is successful. They didn't have a counterspell previously, so it's not as likely that they'll have one now. Billy Kills tapping out into their Tevesh Szat, creating some throw tokens. Gonti Lord of Luxury coming into play. And choosing to have a look at the top of Polar Bear's library. Then casting another spell, which is yet another clone. Unsurprisingly, unfortunately, Mangara is phased out, so we don't draw another card. But that is another Gonti. And this time, going to look at Billy Kills' deck. And then replaying that Talisman of Hierarchy. So I'm assuming that they don't have any instant speed stuff here that they can cast during our turn. And yeah, they're tapping out anyway, so I'm guessing they didn't get anything that they wanted there. Okay, so here's how the attacks look. I assume that is going to get blocked. Because all the Titans are going into the left. We're going to tap down one of the Gontis with the Frost Titan. The zombies are going in there as well. Gogo might be able to survive this. All the flyers are going in at Gogo as well. Yeah, the fact that this thing's a wall is relevant. We'll be able to get out our Angel this turn and maybe keep people from casting spells, and that might drain them out. So, yeah, we'll just leave it at that, I think. Sun Titan grabs us back the Necropotence, as we planned last turn. And I might even activate the Vault of the Archangel to gain some life here. We'll see what happens with regards to blocking. And yeah, as I expected, the 3-4 is being blocked. That's the best thing that they can block. Still not sure if they go down or not here, but let's activate the Vault of the Archangel. This is Death Touch and Lifelink on all of our stuff. One of our things dies, a Cruel Celibate trigger for that. We take them down to 8 and 4. If we get our Angel into play, then whoever casts a spell is going to take 2. I haven't actually cast our commander yet. Go up to 106 life, by the way. Gain life again, so it's a good job that our opponent got rid of the Sanguine Bond, because we definitely would have had them by this point. Let's grab a land out of the library, and then we'll go in for the Necropotence and draw a bunch of cards. Alright, not sure how many I put into Necropotence there. It's around the 15 mark, taking us down to 90. Can't remember how much life we were at previously. There's the Painful Quandary. We get Swords to Plowshares back. Not getting anything too incredible here. There's a new one in Court of Grace. Kambal might be able to help us get rid of a couple of players. Wow, look at all those lands we're getting into. Sangromancer's a good one, as is the Grand Abolisher. Pushing damage through with the Shadow Spear could be good. Lightning Greaves helps us to get some hasty damage on as well. So there we are, getting rid of a bunch of stuff into exile thanks to Necropotence. Had to get rid of the Crypt Gas there as well, which I don't like because it does have Extort on it, which could be useful, but we've got Kambal and we've got Painful Quandary, so hopefully we'll be able to win from here. Not too sure if even a board wipe helps our opponents at this point. There's some life gain at least, so that might help them stay in the game. Might have to go for a Path to Exile onto that. Alright, and there is yet another clone, so it looks like we've got a couple of clone players here. We'll draw a card with Mangara. Get into Lurrus. Not too sure if we can make much use of Lurrus after the big reanimation spell. Let's go Path to Exile onto that, so that they don't gain any life. And then Vizier of Many Faces. Is it a copy of any creature? Yeah, any creature on the battlefield, so they can still go after things like the Ashen Rider. Don't know if there's any... I suppose they could go for the Soul's Attendant. And yep, they go after the Ashen Rider. They are targeting our Ashen Rider, the wall version of it. That's actually the one that I'm least bothered about. It gets a blocker out of the way, but yeah, the one that we can't swing in with is the one that I want to keep the least, so that's fine. Only a couple of spells apiece are allowed from each of these players now. Aminatou flickering the Vizier again. And again it comes down as a copy of Ashen Rider. And it gets rid of another copy of our Ashen Rider. That is the Evil Twin version, which belongs to Gogo. Okay, Ravos Soul Tender. That's fine, not worried about that. Then a Thrall goes in towards Aminatou, so I'm guessing that's an attempt at helping out Gogo to maybe try and get into something here. Polar Bear allowing the Aminatou to go down. I imagine there is plenty of conspiring going on here, as there probably should be. Yeah, there's a lot of things being said here. I will scroll through that, and you can pause it if you care to have a look at what they talk about when I'm recording. Anyway, going for the plus, the second plus on Tevesh Szat, so drawing some more cards, going up to 5 with 4 mana. A board wipe doesn't necessarily help them here. Zulaport Cutthroat isn't terrible. It is the second card being cast, and they'll get shocked by our commander. Oh, and a Grey Merchant of Asphodel, that is really good. And then just deciding to tap out, so it is all down to Gogo at this point. Only one card in hand, he will obviously draw one. He's got access to his Aminatou again as well. So, going straight in for the Aminatou, exiling... it's a permanent you own, so they get to go after the Ashen Rider here, comes back into play under their control. Yep, they're going after our Necropotence, so we'll dump some life into that. That's less black devotion for us, but I don't think it really matters at this point. Like I said, what I'll probably do next turn is turn everything in sideways in at Billy Kills and then drop Grey Merchant, and that should be enough. We'll just do 10 cards with Necropotence this time, and then we will draw a card at the beginning of our turn because Necropotence is no longer in play. And if they cast another spell here, they go down to our commander, and they'll take a bunch of their creatures with them, so that might be their aim here. Yep, going for Eerie Interlude. So we draw with Mangara first, and get into Darksteel Mutation, so that might help keep Billy Kills in play for longer. Might have been Gogo's attempt at trying to help Billy Kills stay in play for a bit longer. How much devotion to black do we have now? It's a lot less now, actually. 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 will get rid of Polar Bear, and he will take his Noble Hierarch, which we're not particularly bothered about. So I think we're okay to just go Anguished Unmaking onto the Tevesh Szat, and then we can just concentrate on hitting Billy Kills in the face. And we'll draw a bunch of cards at the end of the turn, don't forget. Alright, Viscopa Guildmage might be able to help us push this through then. Let's drop the Viscopa Guildmage, and we'll activate that straight away. Whenever we gain life this turn, each opponent loses that much life. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana held up. And then we'll get a land from the Sun Titan, which allows us to go for Vault of the Archangel. So yeah, I think we're looking okay here. Let's swing everything in at Billy Kills, which will trigger the Sun Titan, and again we get a fetch. We'll crack the fetch again straight away, and get the last swamp. Didn't realise we were on the last swamp, so that's lucky. And we'll allow Kills to order up his blockers first, give him the least amount of information possible. He decides to block the Cruel Celebrant with the Zulaport Cutthroat. That's fine, probably should have left that back actually, but doesn't matter. We're going to get rid of the Zulaport with Death Touch anyway. And then a throw goes on to the Serra Ascendant, which is also fine at this point. Lifelink and Death Touch onto everything. And we gain a heap of life. We have a couple of creatures die, so Cruel Celebrant will ping each of our opponents twice. I don't even know how much life we're gaining and draining our opponents with the Viscopa Guildmage. We'll get drained with the Zulaport as well, because a couple of creatures died over here. But at 100 life, it hardly matters. So that takes down Polar Bear Soup. Probably should have tapped down his Noble Hierarch for mana before then. But that was enough to take down Billy Kills anyway. If it wasn't, we just go for Grey Merchant of Asphodel, and we can drain him out for the rest. So, didn't exactly pan out the way that I wanted it to. The whole point in this deck is to gain lots of small increments of life and then punish our opponents for us gaining those small pips of life by draining them out. But obviously both Polar Bear Soup and Go-Go went absolutely nuts this game with their reanimation and clone shenanigans, so had to play a very conservative game there. But it was a fun one nonetheless. That was an absolutely crazy game, so hopefully you all enjoyed it and this visit to one of the new Commander Legends commanders. Be sure to let me know if you want to see more from this commander. I was thinking of making Orzhov Angel Tribal, so you'll have to let me know what you think of that. Leave it a comment and a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to support the channel. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.